Hello, okay, folks. Today I'm going to show you how to automate your tests quickly and easily. It might be not so difficult as it seems to when you have the right tools for the job, and I'm going to give you one of such tools today. So I'm going to talk about my test automation framework. It's available on GitHub. Link will be in the description. So basically with this you can automate your test using Selenium, Java, Maven, and TestNG. Preconditions, so I expect, and I'm not going to show in this video today how to install Java or Maven. As a precondition, you should have them installed and configured. You should also have some IDE or code editor of your choice installed. It might be IntelliJ IDEA, it might be Eclipse or any other, whatever you would want to use. Firefox browser is installed because by default tests are running in Firefox, but you can change that config. Also, the most important and most challenging part for you, for beginners, might be knowing how to write XPath locators for web elements on the pages. And you need to have some basic knowledge of Java, nothing fancy. Just how to create variables, what are objects, how to create them, how to call methods, pass parameters to them, create loops if needed, things like that. But wait and see what I will show you. Again, nothing difficult. Now, what this framework can do, it can run tests in parallel in multi-thread environment. Also, failed tests can be retried, but by default this option is turned off for local development. It will be used when you running on Jenkins or CI/CD tool. And also Allure and Extend Reports reporting are implemented to see some results in a visual way. Supported browsers: Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari. By default I will be using Firefox, as I said. macOS, Windows, I'm using macOS, but it should work fine with Windows as well, because I wrote the code in a way that it should support both platforms. Java version, I'm using Java 8 because I need this specific version for work, but you probably can use some upper versions and do some tricks in settings. If you don't have any installed yet, I would suggest you to install Java 8. With page object pattern, this framework fully supports page object, but for the simplicity and for beginners, again, I'm not going to use it today, but the actual examples in the code has page object pattern implemented, so feel free to use it if you want, but that's not what I'm going to explain and show today. These some instructions in README. I'm going to show all of it. You can read it in repo in README. Config also there will be one setting, one property in config file that is responsible for starting URL or web address that will be opened in all the tests. Some additional description, some comments, you can read it through, nothing important for right now. Also some descriptions about possible ways to run your tests, but we will be using this one. We will be running from IDE directly, but as I am mentioning here, this is not the way your tests will be run on CI/CD like Jenkins. So two other ways are also described. This HTML report example for Allure reporting and for extend reports, but extend reports it will be standalone HTML file, but it will be generated only when you run via Maven or TestNG XML. We're not going to take a look on it today, but we can. But Allure report is generated always, so we can take a look at this one. Regarding browser drivers management, so I'm using Bon Garcia library, so it should be managed automatically. You need to download and configure any drivers for each browser. It should be done automatically. Also some useful notes for troubleshooting if you have some issues with Maven or with Java. Okay, let's start digging into it. Let's download it. Let's go code button, download zip. Give it some time. Okay, now you can unzip it, see what's inside. Now start your IDE and select downloaded folder. Please keep in mind that the folder you are selecting should contain on the one level below src folder and pom.xml. Sometimes some people after downloading selecting different nesting levels, different folder does contains these files, and in this case your IDE will not recognize it as a project. So okay, I need this one. Open. Give it a couple of minutes to do its background stuff. Okay, what you would want to do next is go to file project structure and check that you have your SDK or Java installation selected. If not selected, in my case I have only one installation, this one, but you might have no SDK when you open your first project first time in IDE. So you should go here and select it, or just double check that it's selected. Then go and open pom XML file in the root folder and make sure that there are no any red lines, that everything is recognized by Maven. So pom file, it's Maven project, description for Maven project. If something is in red, then you might want to go and click here on this reload all Maven projects button. So it will resolve and re-download all the dependency is a library that is used and described here. It's just for troubleshooting purposes. Now, if everything is correct, Java and Maven is installed properly and configured properly, you should be able to run example tests. So tests are located in src test Java tests. I'm not going to talk about API tests, about UI tests only today. So here is one test as an example. Let's try to run it from IDE. I'll click on this run button and see if Firefox will be opened and if the test runs. So give it a moment. Okay, consumer reports website is opened. So what this test, sample test or example test is doing, it's goes to consumer reports and checks that cars and wagons category is present on the web page. It means that the categories page is loaded properly. This is what this test is about. And let's take a look on the config file. So here is the start URL of the address or web address that will be opened. Browser Firefox and some default wait, 5 seconds. By the way, if you will see any errors during the first run, just run it again and it should be fine. It's just IDE sometimes glitching. So now let's so it was just to make sure, test run to make sure that project works fine, can be used on your machine. Now let's try to automate something. Let's say that we want to automate test for search functionality on target.com. So our scenario will be go and type Apple Watch, press enter. Then we would want to check that all of the search results, let's call them product cards, that each of them has Apple Watch in its name. And for that we will need to find some locators. So first of all, let's go back. Now let's go to IDE first. Let's just copy this file with test UI test with page objects. Command C, Command V, let's say target tests, and we don't need everything that's inside. Let's call it search on target.com. Search on target. So let's describe our test scenario first. So open start page. Let's go ahead and change it right away. So this will be our start URL. Let's go and put it in here instead of previous one, consumer reports. We don't need it. Save. Then enter search criteria and press enter. Then wait till page loaded. Check that each product card has Apple Watch in its name. Something like that. Okay, the first one is ready. The first step will be opened automatically after you specify the URL here. Now enter search criteria. For search criteria, we are going to interact with web elements, so we need to write an XPath for that. So let's see, you can click on it or on any other place on the web page. Click on inspect, this developer's tools will appear. Now let's find it. So here it is, it's an input with ID search. So how can we write an XPath for that? We can say, now we're going to use any other types of locators like CSS or search by ID. Just for simplicity, let's use and consistency, let's use XPath for everything. So we can say add ID equals search. See, 1 of 1 found. Okay, let's copy it, go back to ID, and let's say here it will be string variable search input equals, put it in quotes. Now I'm not going to use page object pattern, but we are going to create an object anyway to call off the methods. So, and there is a base page class that contains predefined methods that you can use. So we are going to create base page object. Let's say base page equals new base page. It asks us to add an import of this class. Let's hit option return. Now, as I said, it has predefined method that I've added. So we're going to enter some text. So let's see what it has for enter text. It has just simple enter text and enter text and press enter. And the list of parameters, since we need to press and enter as well, we are going to use the first one. So it says first parameter XPath, second text that we want to enter. The third one is element name for report. The third parameter in all the functions, basically it's to make human readable report about your tests. Otherwise, if we will be showing just XPath in the HTML report, it will not be really user friendly and human readable. That's what the third parameter for. So we have our XPath that we built or wrote in a browser. Let's paste it here. First parameter. Second, we are going to type Apple Watch. The third one, element name for report, it will be search input. We will call it search input. Now, wait till page loaded. With page loaded, I'm not going to use any fancy waits, just will say wait 5 seconds. Now check that each product card has, oops, I have it set it in variable, so we can use this variable here for readability. Now we need to find locator for product card on search results. Let's hit enter. Move cursor here. Say inspect. So it's some anchor tag, a link with some classes. It doesn't have any ID or any other useful attribute, so it looks like we will have to use some classes, CSS classes. So these things with numbers and bunch of random letters looks like dynamically generated CSS classes. It's not a good idea to rely on them, they might be changed. But I think that there is still something meaningful like style title link. Let's double click on it, copy this part. I think it should be a permanent one. So we are going to write locator like this. We will say contains, and we will say class, and we will say this thing. Let's hit enter and see. You see it found 8 elements, but in reality if we will scroll down, it will load more and more elements. You see this one is jumping a little bit. So if we scroll till the end and hit enter again here in the search field, you will see that actually the final number of results is 24. So we are going to repeat the same actions as in our tests. It's some kind of lazy loading on the target website. It's not always used, but here we can see it, so we must implement it or take it into account. So what we can do about it? So first of all, let's save our locator that we wrote to variable, and let's say it also will be string. Let's say product cart, put it in quotes. So we will type text, press enter, wait 5 seconds to give it time to load the results, and then before taking all of the elements and checking the text, as I said, we will need to do some scrolling. Let's see what we have here. Scroll. Yeah, and by the way, after you will type dot after object name, IntelliJ or IntelliSense will show you all available methods on this object. That's how you search. You can continue typing and will suggest some after completion. Again, I want to find something related to scroll. That's I find scroll. That's why I type scroll. It says there are 2 methods available, scroll down with pause. So just simple scroll down will not help us because it loads products in parts. So I'm going to use scroll down with pause. Pixels, let's say 1000 pixels, and do it 6 times. Now after we scrolled everything down and all the projects should come up on the search results, only then we can take the names from each card. For this we say page, what do we have in asserts? Assert text, each element contains text. This one looks like we would want to use. And assert, that's the name of verification points in Java, because it's using, so in Java it's called asserts, Java programming language. That's why when you want to check something, you will be using asserts. So this is just a convenience wrapper method for that. What does it have? XPath text, and the same name for report. So XPath, here it is. What text do you want to check that each of them has? The same as we entered here, Apple Watch. And the name for the report for this element will be product cards. We will say product card. And even before that, as we know that the number is that there should be 24 products returned, basically on each results page. You see 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24. and you can download 24 more. But anyway, since we can assert or check that there should be 24 products returned at least on the first page, that's a really good idea to check it as well. So how can we do that? So before checking the names, let's check the number. Again, let's type page dot assert, and here it is, assert number of elements, XPath amount, and element name. XPath 24, name for the report, product card. So let's check what we have. Search, hit enter, scroll down, assert number of elements, assert each element contains. So looks like that's our whole test. let's clean it up a little bit. Let's remove these comments, move all the variables on the top, so we have two of them with our allocators. And basically that's how a test scenario looks. Enter text, wait, scroll down, assert number of elements, assert each element contains text. We just extracted locators into separate variables. Now let's try and run it. Save, run, let's see if it works. Maybe we'll need to do some adjustments, some updates, fixes, if it doesn't. OpenZara.com, it's enter text, hit enter, search result displayed, now it scrolls. Okay, test is green, test is passed. It also printing out to the console what it's doing. Open page, enter text into search input. So this search input, that's what we was putting that third parameter for. Enter text, wait 5 seconds, scroll down 1000, wait 1 second, scroll 6 times, verify that number of product card is 24, verify each product card contains text Apple Watch, and it's also printing out to the console, to the terminal, all the product cards names, just for the sake of clarity if you will need to double check something in here. So that's the whole test, and you see it's also really useful to have meaningful logs, because after you automate some test, basically you can just copy and paste it to your test management system. You don't need to describe everything from scratch manually to write this manual test scenario. That's why important to have everything in what is called human readable way. Now let's try to run Allure report. Where is our readme? What does it say? So for Allure it says you should have Allure command line tools installed. I already have them installed. And then it says run this command. So for that we go to terminal, copy it, paste it, hit enter. It should open in your browser by default. For me it's Chrome, so we open Chrome. You see default suite, Need to expand everything. Again, user-friendly readable name. Search on target.com, that's the name of the test, and that's we can see all the steps logged in this HTML report, also in a human readable way. Basically that's it. I wanted to show you for today. So you see, it's not so difficult actually if you have proper tools, if you have some predefined methods that you can reuse. Like in our case, right, when we just created one object and then we called predefined methods on it. And you don't really need to know what is how it's implemented inside. If you want to take a look, you can go and jump to implementation. You will see on the Selenium commands used underneath, but that's not the goal for this video. Few more words. If you guys create new tests not by copy and pasting existing test files, test classes, do not forget to extend from browser test suite class, because this one is responsible for managing Selenium processes. So if you will do something like that, do not forget that you should add extends in here. Otherwise, you will have handling processes of Firefox or any other browser. So please pay attention to this thing. And one more thing, if you are going to use page object pattern, then there is a folder or package pages that contains where you can put your page object classes. And in the example that I showed, all of those wrapper methods are stored in base page, so feel free to extend it. I put just only the minimal required number of those for most often used actions like click, enter text, and so on. But if it's not enough, it for sure will not be enough for everyone. Feel free to add new methods to base page. I will try to expand it to add more methods, but basically if you while you will be getting more and more familiar with Selenium and keep studying it, you should be able to add new methods that you are going to use by yourself. And in this case, if you're not going to use page partner like I did here in target tests, we just created one object and was working only with this one object page, then you will need to add new methods in the base page class.